to the deaths.
Ambao naambiwa kufikia hivi sasa tuko na vifo karibu 10. Jambo ambalo sio jambo nzuri.
Welcome once again. My name is Hibak Said. On the sign language interpretation tonight is Rhoda Nyamai. To start us off, President William Ruto has affirmed that the government's commitment to eliminate corruption cartels hindering the digitization of government services. Addressing Kenyans living in Japan, the head of state said migration to the e-citizen platform is unstoppable. And as George Maringa now reports, the government directive on transition of school fees payment to the e-citizen platform suffered a major blow after the High Court suspended a circular issued by the Ministry of Education instructing parents to make payments via the e-citizen platform.
On his tour of Japan, President William Ruto, who is accompanied by First Lady Mama Rachel Ruto, Prime CS Musalia Mudavadi and other leaders, addressed Kenyans living in Japan. President Ruto noted that the reduction of more than 3,000 pay bills in government to one has helped monitor revenues and eliminate theft.
As we digitize government services, as is expected, there is a lot of resistance so that we can have sight of government revenue.
According to the president, the new policy that requires school fees to be paid through e-citizen, the government's digital platform, will eliminate illegal levies charged by certain schools.
That there are illegal levies charged by boards of management of schools that go into accounts that nobody knows.
Kenyans in diaspora can also transact government business through e-citizen. The head of state reiterated government's agenda of creating opportunities for skilled youth, both locally and abroad, while emphasizing that the demand for Kenyan skills abroad is enormous.
We expect to tap into expertise like what the Prime Cabinet Secretary was saying here, of Kenyans living abroad who are experts and professionals in that space, for them to work with us to see how we can secure our data.
As the president was throwing his weight behind the e-citizen platform, he suffered another setback. The High Court issued interim conservatory orders suspending the circular by PS Belio Kipsang requiring parents or guardians and or students to pay fees and or any other levies for all government learning institutions through e-citizen platform until 13th February 2024. High Court Judge Justice Chachamuita issued the order on Wednesday following a petition filed against it by one Nakuru-based Dr. Magare Gikenyi. Among those sued are Treasury CS, Interior CS, Education CS, Kenya Revenue Authority, and the Attorney General. Magare in his petition argues that forcing parents to pay their school fees through e-citizen without their public participation is irrational. He further told the court that there is currently no legislation or framework that will guide how the said funds are utilized and sent back to the end users, adding that the transaction fee of 50 shillings per transaction was arrived at curiously. Will the government's agenda sail through? Time will tell. George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
Indeed, time will tell. Thank you so much, George Maringa, for that report. Moving on, Attorney General Justin Muturi has challenged Parliament to make necessary amendments to the controversial Housing Bill 2023, saying that this will be advantageous for the ordinary citizen. Now speaking when he appeared before the Joint Committee of Finance and Planning, Housing and Urban Planning to shed light for the housing bill, Muturi cautioned about potential conflicts between the national and county governments regarding the housing bill.
It was a date for the Attorney General Justin Muturi before the Joint Committee on Housing Bill public participation to shed light on the controversial housing bill under the Finance Act 2023. During the session, Muturi emphasized on the Parliament's responsibility to amend the bill to better serve Kenyans, particularly in terms of the benefits associated with affordable housing, underscoring the need of ensuring that the legislation aligns with the needs of the common mwananchi. Muturi threw the ball back to Parliament to further amend the bill, saying it's within their mandate as the legislative house to better serve Kenyans, particularly on benefits associated with affordable housing.
In fact, it is in Parliament where there are a lot of amendments, which is it's a very healthy democratic practice. Once it has been passed by Parliament, it is now left to the judiciary to interpret it. So if the judiciary finds something and to want in an act of Parliament, it is perfectly within their power to interpret and make the statement. But remember, whatever it is they do, they will not make the law.
The AG dismissed any notions of discord between the national and county governments regarding the implementation of affordable housing projects, clarifying that the Senate should handle the bill, contrary to the Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah's assertion that it falls outside the purview of the county governments.
Paragraph 20 of Part 1 of the 4th schedule provides that the national government shall be responsible for the housing policy, whereas paragraph 8 of Part 2 of the 4th schedule provides that each county government shall be responsible for county planning and development, including housing. And I think this is where the perceived overlap may be coming from.
However, members of Parliament expressed their concerns about Muturi's role as the chief government's advisor on the bill, as well as the possibility of Kenyans not benefiting from the housing project due to the potential infiltration of brokers.
As the government legal advisor, were you not involved in drafting this bill? Because I believe if you are actually involved in drafting this bill, these kind of gray areas will not be coming out at this point.
How do we treat this 33 so that we protect citizens who acquire houses from being used by the rich and cartels?
So it's everybody. When there is failure, on any of the things that the Constitution talks about the state, we should be able to sit down, as you suggest, and look.
The Attorney General Justin Muturi insists that finance bill has to go to Senate for concurrence. This means collection on 1.5% of housing levy will be derailed until further notice. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47 Palm Biddings, Nairobi.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for those insights. Now, police in Kirinyaga County have arrested the proprietor of a bar where 10 individuals lost their lives due to the consumption of illicit liquor. Now, Central Regional Commissioner Frederick Shisia says that the deaths could have been avoided if the bar owner was arrested on time. Now, and as Elizabeth Atieno now reports, John Mureithi Karaya arrests come as residents torched his bar, blaming police for the lack of action.
In Kangai village, Kirinyaga County, a thick cloud of smoke billowed from the California bar a day after a tragic incident that occurred in the early hours of Tuesday morning. Angry residents set fire to the bar, which was allegedly linked to the deaths of 10 people who consumed an alcoholic drink believed to be laced with ethanol.
Wamechoma kila kitu, maafa imetokea na hatutaki tena. Sasa tunataka serikali itusaidie kupigana na hii pombe haramu. Hata tunashindwa ilifungwa wapi hii pombe? Juu hapa inakunywa kila siku. Kila asubuhi saa 12 ni walevi. Sasa ndio hii mafaa imetokea.
Today, the scene at the bar was chaotic. Crates and bottles of beer littered the area, remnants of the morning raid led by enraged villagers.
Hiyo watu wengi sana na wengine wakakosa maso na wako hospitali. Sasa hata tujui kama serikali tutusaidia kwa maana ya masisi.
The once standing bar now lies in ruins, destroyed by the flames, leaving no shelter for the illicit liquor that caused harm to 4 people, robbing them of their sight. Residents, frustrated by the delay in police intervention, took matters into their own hands and watched as the bar burned to the ground.
Alafu zile sheria ambazo tunataka kuweka za mabaa ni kwamba kama ni baa iko huku vijijini, huku hatutaki baa katika vijijini. Tunataka kama ni pale town kama Kangai, kama ni Kandongo, tuwe at least namba 2 ama 3 kulingana na ile size ya hiyo town. Alafu kama ni ile masaa tusiwe na ile kitu inaenda 24 hours.
A day after the tragic incident, the bar owner, John Murithi, was arrested as investigations into the sale of the illicit brew continues.
Agencies of government, we should avoid issues or using of technicalities. We should support each other where we see gaps.
County Assembly Deputy Speaker Gennaro Jamumo says the judiciary is to blame for the situation, citing Murithi's alleged favorable judgments despite being arraigned 15 times previously.
Sai tunaongea tunasikia akona makesi kama 17 na mwezi mmoja tu anashikwa mara kama 10 na hakuna wakati huyu mtu ashafungwa ama ashahukumiwa.
Maana huyo mtu sijui ni mtu wa aina gani, kwa maana anashikwa, anaachiliwa, hata DC anasema anampeleka kiamasiri na anaachiliwa.
The perpetrator of what we are witnessing here has been to court more than 15 times. That tells you there is something that is not happening right somewhere.
6 locals who have also consumed the alcohol are receiving treatment. 4 have since lost their sight, while 2 are in dire need of oxygen. Government officials have confirmed that 4 people have lost their lives today, bringing the death toll to 10. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47.
Thank you, Elizabeth Atieno. Now, on matters performance, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has emerged as the top performer in overseeing highly reported government functions, according to a recent survey released by the research firm Tifa. Following closely behind our Labour CS Florence Bore and her counterpart in the Water Ministry Zachariah Njeru, and the survey, which focused on government operations and both local and international travels, revealed that tourism CS Alfred Mutua leads in foreign travels with 28%. Mike Kagongo tells us more.
According to a survey conducted by Tifa, Mutua and his defense CS counterpart Aden Duale presided over relatively few government functions in the country over the past year. Kithure Kindiki leads with 192 functions, followed closely by Bore with 183. Kindiki holds the record for the most visits to counties in the country, having traveled to 41 counties, followed by CS for Health Susan Nahumicha, who has visited 36 devolved units in the past 1 year. A total of 2,741 government functions presided over by CSs were reported between January and December 2023, out of which 203 were foreign trips. Mutua ranks as the CS with the highest number of foreign trips at 28%, followed by his public service counterpart Moses Kuria at 16%. The survey revealed that Kindiki and Education CS Ezekiel Mashogu had no trips abroad in the past 1 year, with 54% of the CS functions out of the 1,377 recorded taking place in Nairobi, given the concentration of their offices in the capital.
And when you looked at the kind of activities that happen in Nairobi, we found that most of them are office activities. So basically, they're not necessarily going to visit the population or the populace in Nairobi. Most of them are office visits.
Bore had the most functions in Nairobi with 115, followed by Aisha Jumwa with 100. Conversely, Kindiki held 118 meetings outside Nairobi, followed by Nahumicha with 98. Tifa CEO Maggie Ireri stated that the event surveyed included those posted on social media platforms, shared by ministries and covered by mainstream media.
So we are taking the media reporting online, and then we are taking the pages, because sometimes media doesn't cover all the events. So we feel that when we combine online news sites and what the cabinet secretary reports on their pages, then we capture a lot of the activities.
Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Right, moving on, the death toll from the Embakasi gas explosion has risen to 7 after one more person died following the injuries he sustained. Meanwhile, the key suspects linked to the explosion will remain in remand for an additional 21 days as detectives conclude their investigations. Here is Sheila Chilangat with more.
Derek Kimathi, the owner of the ill-fated plant at the Mradi area in Embakasi, along with Joseph Macau and Marian Mutete Kioko, will be detained for an additional 21 days at the Embakasi police station as detectives continue with their investigations.
That investigation of such magnitude cannot be done in a day or two, as it needs a lot of intra-agency cooperations and have investigations concluded before the files are taken to the office of the Director of Public Prosecution.
However, the third respondent, David Walunya Ongare, will be detained for a period not exceeding 14 days due to his delicate medical condition.
Court hearing orders that he be put in a police station near to the hospital that usually seeks his constant medication so that he can access his medical team at the soonest possible time in case of a crisis. That concerted investigations to commence with him so that he can be released within 10 and maximum of 14 days so that we balance the investigations and his health.
The 4 who were arrested in connection with the explosion are facing charges of murder, conspiracy to commit a felony, negligence acts, causing harm and abuse of office. Tragically, another person succumbed to injuries sustained during the Embakasi gas explosion, bringing the total death toll to 7. Victims who had been sheltered at the Embakasi social hall have been relocated as the government initiates plans to reintegrate them into the community by providing alternative accommodation. This matter will be brought up for mention in court next on the 28th of February. Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Thank you, Sheila. Now, still within the capital, Nairobi City Hall has achieved a historic milestone by becoming the first government building in Africa to receive Green Building certification from the International Finance Corporation, a branch of the World Bank. Now, Kenya Green Building Society CEO Nasra Nanda expressed her admiration for Nairobi's accomplishment, citing it as a new benchmark for urban development. She emphasized the significance of integrating sustainable practices into the blueprint of future cities. Speaking during a ceremony to commemorate this achievement, Nairobi County Governor Sakaja Johnson extended his gratitude to all people and entities involved in making City Hall certification possible. He underscored the importance of collaborative efforts in advancing sustainable infrastructure and urban planning.
The first African IFC Edge Green Government Office, and why it's important is because essentially we're walking the talk in becoming the green capital of Africa, and by the Governor's Office being a green office, we're starting this journey, and we're hoping it's the first step to now work towards a better and dignified Nairobi.
So this is the first green government building on the continent. You know, I was just telling the Safaricom guys, they said, you mean in the counties? No, not in the counties. On the continent. There's no national government in Africa, or agency, or parastatal, or ministry on the continent of Africa, south of the Sahara, north of the Limpopo, and everything in between, that has a green certified building, IFC Edge. So
Quite interesting. On the flip side, though, the central bank raised the borrowing costs from 12.5% to 13%, a level last seen in Mwai Kibaki's administration 12 years ago. In a statement, the Monetary Policy Committee chaired by Central Bank Governor Kamau Thuge insisted that these measures had been taken so as to tackle the rising inflation levels. Kisewa Emory tells us more.
In a surprising turn of events, the Monetary Policy Committee has decided to increase the central bank rate by 50 basis points, raising it from 12.5% to 13%. This move is expected to have significant implications for Kenyans, particularly in the realm of borrowing and lending. With this decision, commercial banks are likely to follow suit by raising their lending rates, making loans more expensive for borrowers. Interest rates for high-risk borrowers could soar beyond 24%, putting strain on those servicing bank loans and mortgages in the near future. The decision to hike the central bank rate has been attributed to ongoing inflationary pressures and exchange rate volatility, despite the central bank's previous rate increase from 10.5% to 12.5% in December. The CBK governor says that the Kenyan shilling has depreciated beyond its equilibrium value, saying that the central bank might intervene to stabilize the currency.
I've been of the view that the exchange rate has overshot its equilibrium value. I'm of the view that the current rate is not really consistent with the macroeconomic fundamentals, and it's elevated. And therefore, I can't give you a specific rate, but we, as I indicated, we do believe that with the actions that we have now taken and what is expected inflows of foreign exchange, that the exchange rate should stabilize and move towards that rate that is consistent with the strong macroeconomic fundamentals.
Additionally, there is optimism regarding external investment in the infrastructure bond currently available in the market, which is expected to bring in more foreign currency reserves.
In addition to all that, of course, we have seen some interest by foreign investors in government securities. We are in the process of issuing the infrastructure bond, and we have seen significant foreign interest in purchasing the infrastructure bond. And therefore, we expect also foreign exchange to come in from the purchase of the infrastructure bond.
Furthermore, the governor has expressed confidence in the country's ability to repay the Eurobond that is set to mature in June this year, providing reassurance amidst economic uncertainties.
Just want to assure the Kenyans that, one, we have the resources, the money that is coming in from the World Bank, from regional institutions, from the international multilateral institutions, our accessing capital markets, that this risk that of the Eurobond will be, in my view, will be completely eliminated, and that should also contribute to a strengthening of the shilling.
The pain of the increase is set to be felt by ordinary Kenyans, even as the central bank continues fighting inflation and stabilize the national currency. Kisewa Emory, TV47.
There has been concerted efforts by President William Ruto as he travels to different countries in a bid to attract foreign investments, which play a big role in shaping the business landscape of the country. This week on Stocks and Markets, we talked to the Principal Secretary, Abubakar Hassan, as he sheds light on the government's efforts in attracting investments. Ilam Fahari Income Real Estate Investment Trust is in the process of applying for admission for trading over the counter on the unquoted securities platform on the bourse.
A very good evening and welcome to this week's market summary with me, Natasha Wairemo. Now, we had a very interesting conversation on the investment space in Kenya with the Principal Secretary, State Department for Investment Promotion. Let's take a look.
Also, if you come invest in Kenya, you can access the US market through the AGOA agreement. So if you come and invest in Kenya, you can also access the UK market, duty-free, quota-free, under that agreement. Now, if you come to invest in Kenya, you can also access the European market, which is a market of 27 countries, almost 400 million people.
On to the world of stocks. The market closed the week on a bullish note with the Nairobi Securities Exchange All Share Index 10, 20 and 25 share indices gaining 2.2%, 2.8%, 1.0% and 2.3% week over week respectively. Safaricom dominated market activity at 39.8% of the week's turnover levels. The counter gained 3.1% week over week to 13.50 Kenya shillings. East Africa Breweries Limited was the week's best performing top mover on an 8.6% week-on-week recovery to 113.50 Kenya shillings. Uchumi Supermarket was the leading gainer of the week on an 11.1% week-over-week rally to 0.20 Kenya shillings, while Sanlam was the leading loser, shedding 9.7% week-over-week to 6.34 Kenya shillings. Cooperative Bank of Kenya, the trustee of Ilam Fahari Income Real Estate Investment Trust, issued a public notice on delisting the Income Real Estate Investment Trust from the main investment market segment of the BOUS effective 12 February 2024. The last trading day will be 9th February 2024.